We started our liturgy with the proclamation of the people, Hosanna to the King of David, bringing their palms as Jesus entered into Jerusalem. So this Holy Week, we reflect and ask so many ways how we could participate in these last moments of Jesus on earth. Does this King of Glory find a welcome in our hearts? The people of Jerusalem readily hailed him as the Messiah and King because they saw the many miracles of Jesus, the last of which was the raising of Lazarus. And true enough, Jesus' entry into Jerusalem was the fulfillment of that messianic prophecy in God's establishing His new kingdom. But this praise did not last long. It is the same crowd who would later cry out, "Crucify him." Here is truly a clear betrayal of commitment. Again, what we heard, it's a long narrative. The gospel is not a miracle of Jesus, does not speak of the teaching of Jesus, but it is a narration of what happened to him, as written by the gospel writer, and the many people involved in the life of Jesus at the last part of his life. And for us to be part of that, because it calls us to examine our own relationship with Jesus. But what's important with this last aspect of the life of Jesus? Why do we really give time to this? We speak of it as the Holy Week. Why would Jesus enter into Jerusalem? What's in Jerusalem? Because in Jerusalem is the temple. It is in the temple that they celebrate the Passover feast, where they offer an animal sacrifice. And so for Jesus to go to Jerusalem, he replaces that animal sacrifice. He is the one, by the will of the Father, who is to be the sacrifice. He is the Lamb of God, for the purpose of which to take away the sins of the world. So that the Jewish sacrifice of animals cannot expiate sins. It's not pleasing to the eyes of God anymore. It is His Son, His chosen one. And the Father says, listen to Him. It is in the obedience of Jesus to the Father. And that's why it's important for us to enter into our own Jerusalem. How do we do this? The Holy Week gives us this moment, because we are in that story. Many personalities, many events there is true until now. Who are you in that story? Are you the one who kissed Jesus and betrayed him? Are you Peter who denied him? Were you one of those crowds who cried, "Crucify him"? Are you Pilate? You know? Are you the scribes and Pharisees? There's so many personalities there that we have to think, what am I doing with my life in relation to Jesus? How we can falsely accuse Jesus. How we can betray our friends. How we can bully people. Rejection. How the Jews rebuked, ridiculed, spit upon him, beat him. This is your Jerusalem. Now, when we continue to live maligning people, when we continue to accuse people falsely, and we are happy when we laugh at people. This is what we are called to reflect this Holy Week. We look into ourselves, how are we part of that moment when we crucify the Lord? And yet we can also be like Jesus. He who humbled himself, becoming obedient unto death. We make this Holy Week sacred, holy, because it is our journey. We meditate, we reflect, and use these powerful symbols, our traditions of rituals, the bringing of palms, the processions that we do. The many popular religiosity that we do during this week. And most of all, participating in our liturgical celebration. We follow Jesus in a more focused way. And so it's important that we take this week as a time of prayer more than anything else. Reflection, listening to His words in the Scriptures, that hopefully would allow us to convict ourselves and calling us to conversion. That at the end of this week we may raise our minds to God in the joy of the resurrection. This is not our week, Holy Week. He wants to enter into our lives. He wants to make this week holy. He desires our welcome. He desires our participation in this most sublime week of the year. In the final words, I'd like to say, let us journey with Jesus with contrite hearts. As He entered Jerusalem, let us bring our palms, the joy of proclaiming Him in worship, that we may share in His victory. Hosanna to the King of David.